Thank you all again so much for being here with us today. I'm Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group. We have a fantastic webinar for you today, Getting Your Special Needs Life Organized, why it's so important, how organization will transform your life. We've got Christy Pickrell with us. She is the founder and president of her company called Our Little Peace of Mind. So she'll get going in just a moment, but first I would like to tell you a little bit about Consolidated Planning Group and about today's webinar. First of all, this webinar is being recorded, and later on today you will receive an email with a link to the recording and a copy of the slides. If you happen to be joining us on our podcast and you would like a copy of these slides, we would be happy to send those to you. Just email us, contact@cpgcares.net, and let us know that you want the slides for the organization podcast, and we will send those right out to you. So Consolidated Planning Group is a holistic financial planning firm. We're based in Houston, Texas, but we serve families all across Texas and all across the United States. We have 30 years experience, well, actually even more than 30 years of experience with insurance and financial services. We are fully licensed in those areas, and we are members of the $1 Million Roundtable, which, to the general public doesn't mean that much. But in the industry, it tells people that we have served a lot of families, and a lot of families trust us in those areas. We are also members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, and we are nationally certified as Social Security advisors. The reason we do what we do is because the owner of our company and her husband, Allison and Jeff, they have 4 kids together. And out of those 4, 2 of them have special needs. So, sorry, my dog is being loud. I'm not sure if you can hear that. He's relocating. Anyway, out of their 4 children, Jeff and Allison have 2 that have special needs. And when they were going through this, finding out about the waiver programs and the benefits available for their children, she realized it was so complicated and so confusing that she wanted to turn our company towards helping families to advocate and educate for families who are going through the same thing. So we do a lot of work with protection plans, lifetime care plans. How much is that care going to cost if your child needs care for the rest of their life, not just your life? Transition planning, what happens when they turn 18 and the world switches because now they're suddenly an adult, even though they're still your baby. We help with ABLE accounts, and also understanding, trust funds and where you can have money and still be able to get your benefits, and all kinds of things that you need to know about as a parent of someone with special needs. And one thing that I like to let people know about is that according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are over 263,000 financial advisors across the United States, 263,000. Out of those, fewer than 200, not 200,000, just 200, focus on special needs planning. So that's fewer than 0.1% of all the financial advisors across the United States who understand the nuances behind special needs planning. And that tells you that you are definitely in the right place with us. Some things that, really keep people awake at night when they're laying there in bed trying to fall asleep and thinking about their loved ones and the future. The main question that we know that keeps people up at night is who is going to take care of your child when you no longer can. I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these spam comments. So things that you need to think about when you're thinking about who is going to take care of your child once you're gone. You need to know that the earlier you plan and get these things arranged, the fewer sleepless nights you're going to have and the bigger impact you can have on the future. You know, you make small incremental adjustments now, and over time, those make a big difference. Planning ahead makes a world of difference. We want you to think ahead about what's going to happen after high school. There are a lot of great educational options, vocational options, and residential options that you need to think about for your loved one in terms of what is best for them, where they would be a good fit, where these places are, and of course, how much they cost and who they accept. And then once you find the perfect place, you might find that, oh my gosh, now they have a 10-year waiting list or a 5-year waiting list. And I took all this time to think about where my loved one was going to go after high school or what they were going to do. And now there's this long waiting list. So again, plan early and think ahead. You know, sometimes parents just say, oh, you know, Jacob's sibling, his older sister, is going to take care of him once we're gone. Well, that sounds lovely right now. And maybe both parties involved are totally cool with that. They love each other and they want to be there for each other. But, you know, when it comes right down to it, when you have a sibling caring for your loved one with a special need, you know, maybe Jacob in the future will start to feel a little bit resentful of his sister. He might say, you're not my mom. You can't tell me what to do. And maybe Jacob's sister, you know, in the future, she might feel like it's more of an obligation to care for him rather than a loving relationship. You know, she's going to grow up and have her own job and maybe her own family and her own needs and things that she wants to do. And now she realizes that that might not have been the best idea. So think long and hard about just saying, oh, their siblings are going to take care of them. It might not be right for everybody. So that's my little bits of wisdom and advice to give to you up front. And now I want to hear from Christy about her and about the program that you signed up for today. So again, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions or comments, we cannot see you or hear you, so please put those into the chat box. I will keep an eye on the chat box and let Christy know as we have questions. And again, this is being recorded. You will receive the video and the slides later on today. All right, Christy, take it away.
Thank you, Michelle. And I wanted to first start with saying thank you for having me on. And some of the things that you were talking about just a few minutes ago, you know, we all have these grand plans and, you know, we think we're going to live forever with our kids, but we're not. And it's so important. And so I just wanted to start with telling you a little bit about me. I'm a wife of 30 years, a mom of 3 beautiful children, and a grandma. I have a 1-year-old grandson. So I have over 35 years of caregiving experience, starting as a teenager with different grandparents and loved ones, and of course, babysitting and all that fun stuff. I was also a certified respite provider in the mid-90s, early to mid-90s for the Arc of Maryland. Something I didn't put on the slides, I was also a special ed major. And I did my student teaching in a PPCD classroom. You know, God works in mysterious ways. This was all before my son Russell was ever thought of. I worked with many different families, from autism, CP, cancer patients. I worked with kids of all different things.
I just have to say, Christy, I mean, you must have gotten married when you were about 10 years old. You look great.
Thank you. I'm actually getting ready to celebrate a birthday, so we won't talk about how many years. So my main inspiration for starting Peace of Mind was my son. He is 23, nonverbal, autistic, and epileptic. He was diagnosed at 20 months with learning and language delays. one of the things I want to say real fast is I was convinced he was autistic. After working in the PPCD program and seeing the differences. And one of the things I want to point out to parents is stick to your guns. We moved to Texas, and at 28 months, Russell was diagnosed with autism. And throughout the journey, you're going to hear me talk about organization and being organized. And throughout a lot of mentors and a lot of trial and error, I think I've come up with a system that's pretty decent for keeping me organized. And I just, coordinating things, and you're going to hear more about the company in a few minutes, but so what we do, we create customized solutions to help you care and coordinate for a loved one. Through mentors and teachers throughout my journey, I've learned the importance of having all the information together. And it's really important to have it all in a system that you can get to quickly and have at your disposal quickly. So why is this important? These are just a few of the reasons. There are so many more reasons to get organized, but getting organized early is the key. It's going to help you with transitions. It's going to help you in case of an emergency. It's going to help you applying for all the support systems. Michelle mentioned the waiver programs and Social Security and coordinating with others. It's just going to make everything work a lot smoother. So let's start with transition. All of our kiddos have multiple teachers. They have multiple, different programs. They transition from PPCD to elementary to middle school to high school. We have new teachers. We have new caregivers that come in, new doctors. So having everything in one place is so important for transition. It helps you kind of not have to reinvent the wheel every time, for every new teacher that comes in. The second is going to be emergencies. I, for one, know my son with his epilepsy takes a half a dozen different medicines, not including vitamins and supplements. And with his epilepsy, he has grand mal seizures. Those grand mal seizures aren't just simple, quick, they last 6 minutes. It's a 911 call. And when those paramedics come in and I'm dealing with trying to make sure Russell is, where he needs to be and everything, and I don't necessarily have the presence of mind to remember that list of medicine. So having it in our medical binder, I can easily grab it. It stays in one spot on the shelf, and I can grab it and I can show the EMT what he's taking. It helps with preventing drug interactions, and it has quick access to all the doctor's contacts information. And then God forbid, what if I wasn't there? If I've got a caregiver there, they're not going to know every little detail. So having the medical binder in a paper format, and I know everybody's like, oh, I have my charts and, but every doctor has its own my chart. I know my son has different specialists and they're not all on the same chart. Yeah, we have these great virtual paperless charts, but they don't necessarily communicate with each other. So having it right there, clear instructions, all of that really helps in emergencies.
We're talking about having a webinar next month about hurricane and storm preparedness. As we're in the Houston area, we often deal with hurricanes and storms, and this is something that I am definitely going to be talking about during that webinar next month.
Power goes out, you don't have access to my chart.
Yep.
So one of the things I found really helpful when my son was applying for the different waiver programs and getting on the different waiver programs and switching waiver programs, because we all know that they have one for under 21 and then there's one for 21 and up, and all those transitions, they have thousands of questions that they're asking you. There are questions about who is his doctor, his pediatrician. Okay, that was 3 years ago. He's now with an adult doctor. Having all of that information right there, when a case manager comes in to do a reeval, I just hand them the binder, and it's all there. His diagnosis history, his surgical history, his doctor's visits, all of that is right there. So it's just, and I see somebody talking about paper, all those online storage. Yeah, but having the quick access, is huge. So the last thing I want to talk about is coordinating with others. I'm going to tell you a story. My son was in 2 different programs during PPCD time. He was at a private school for children with autism, and he was in the public school. So he did one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Well, we had this great debate about potty training. How many of us have been there? One program says, oh, he's doing great with me. The other program says, oh, he's not ready. And I'm like, how can this be? So when I got the 2 programs to talk to each other, we found out this little tidbit about Russell. He's the master manipulator. If you did not know he could do something, he wasn't going to volunteer that information. So coordinating that information with the different doctors and therapists and past doctors and current doctors, having that all together to share, it's a little harder for him to manipulate. He still tries. But, just getting everybody to act as a team.
Mm-hmm.
So getting people on the same page. One of the things with coordinating, and I'm going to go into this a little bit more in detail, but with our guidebooks. So one of the things I like to do is every time somebody comes to work with Russell, is getting ready to leave, because we all know there's change in staff and, finding therapists long-term, they change constantly. So whenever anybody leaves or is getting ready to leave, I ask them, give me a paragraph, short 4 or 5 sentence, something that surprised you about Russell. And let me share that with the incoming therapist. So I'll go into more about that in a little bit, but I wanted to, have you think about that. So how is this going to make a difference? You're prepared with the information at your fingertips. You're keeping everybody up to date. One of the things that's in our medical binder is communication logs. So when one care worker comes in and the next one comes in the next day, they're able to communicate and know what's going on with Russell. It creates a team atmosphere. It makes everybody feel included, and it really, truly will reduce your stress level. Getting started early, having it all together in one place is just going to make transitions and everything a lot more seamless.
Well, you mentioned keeping a communication log, and that's something that we always recommend when you're applying like for SSI or waiver programs or any other benefits. You know, one day you might call your local Social Security office and you'll get somebody who's been there for 30 years and they know everything about everything. And then the next day you might call and get somebody who started yesterday and has no clue what you're talking about. So keeping track of what they told you and what they promised you and what you said you would send in or whatever, you know, that can go along with those communication logs. This is
Oh, absolutely.
brilliant.
Absolutely. So how can we help? We create custom solutions. Medical binders, guidebooks, visual aids, and advocacy support. So those are the main categories that we work on as a company. So I'm going to go into the medical binders a little bit more in detail. We create custom organization, custom tracking logs, custom list. So you have all your medicines, you have, say you have a kid that has diabetes and you have to track the sugar or insulin doses or what he ate, all of that is in the binder. And so when you go see the doctor and the a lot of doctors will just hand you their own log or whatever that says, track this. We all lose it. I know it gets lost, but by having a place for everything in the binder and having a section to keep all the working parts, it helps promote, being organized and sharing and not missing anything. We always think we walk into a doctor's appointment and we have a list of questions. How often do we get sidetracked and walk out of the office and go, I forgot to ask this question? So having it all in the binder and that communication, questions for the doctors all in one place is just going to, put your mind at ease and take some stress off. You'll remember things easier. And I know when I write things down, I remember them better. So our guidebooks, these are, I like to call them a guidebook because they are a guide to our kids. So I share with everyone, from bus drivers to new doctors. Everyone new that comes into my child's life gets a copy. So with the guidebooks, when we have new therapists, new teachers, they get a sheet of paper. For example, when my son transferred from elementary to middle school, the teachers get this folder and it has all these diagnoses, all the goals, all the stuff they're supposed to work on. But it doesn't tell them who Russell is as a person. So through personalized stories, through pictures, through, information from past therapists, they get a holistic picture of Russell. And a lot of times they're surprised because they're like, well, I would have never dreamed Russell loves roller coasters. But he does. He loves, roller coasters. He likes different things. And so we include all of that in the guidebook. And so when somebody new comes in, they get a holistic, realistic picture of who Russell is and what he's capable of. Because sometimes the diagnoses that are on those sheets of paper, they kind of scare people. I know I've had people come in for interviews or different things and they're like, oh, I saw nonverbal autistic 23, what am I getting into? But then they look at the guidebook and they see Russell as a person. So
do you print these for, if a family comes to you and they want a guidebook, do you print 10 or however many?
We will print them So many copies. They can buy it. Part of the package is depending on what level they buy in at, they'll get it on a jump drive so they can print it. You're going to start out with a nice comb bound, pretty copy for you to have on your bookshelf, but you can buy them in black and white. We can do copies, or we're going to give you a PDF and you can take it and print it yourself. One of the questions I get a lot is, how often should I update this? And I always do one a year. Now that he's older, I don't quite do one every year because he's home-based. But when he was in school, I did one every year. I updated it because there was always a new teacher, a new paraprofessional, somebody new in that classroom. And I wanted them to have the most up-to-date information they could have. As they get older and transitions slow down a little bit, you don't have to do them every year. But if there's a major life event or a significant change, I highly recommend redoing it. Updating it, getting it up to date. So something else we do is visual aids. So we do different visual aids with custom solutions. So one of the things is we'll do calendars. And this is a funny story. When we went on vacation a few years ago, we didn't have a calendar for Russell. And we told him we were going to grandma's. Well, we get to the hotel. It's a multi-day drive to grandma's. And he was very upset. We weren't at grandma's. We were stopping for the night. We weren't at grandma's. So we learned very quickly to create social stories and personalized calendars and different things to help him with that transition and that drive. So we create custom chore charts. Russell's a visual person. So if he can see a picture and know what he's supposed to do. We are a licensed board maker. We are licensed to sell our creations and everything. So we create educational games, we create social stories, communication on books and icons, and just about anything you can dream up, we can create. We can take the IEP goals and run with them to help for summer. So the last thing we do is advocacy support. One of the things that with me with advocacy is I come from a place of experience. I give you the benefit of creating a team atmosphere. And I've been in IEP ARD meetings where they're very stressful and they're very tense. And I'm going to give you some tips, and I'll give you one right now. Never go to an IEP meeting empty-handed. Even if it's a plate of cookies, take a plate of cookies. It's really hard to be irritated with you as a parent if you bring them food.
Plus, everybody's in a better mood when they're fed.
Everybody's in a better mood when they get a cookie. It just eases the tension. But those are the little tips that I can help you with in creating a team atmosphere and getting everybody to work on the same page. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is you're giving us a whole lot of personal information when we create these medical binders and guidebooks. So I want you to know why you can trust us. All of our employees are background checked. Everybody's gone through HIPAA compliance training and certified. We're licensed and bonded, and we are backed by EPI Compliance, which is a HIPAA compliance company. So they put us through our paces every month with checklists and security software and all of that we have to keep up to date to protect your information. So The other thing is we offer a free consultation before anybody commits to buying. You're going to get a 30-minute consultation. We're going to sit down, we're going to hear your story, we're going to listen, and we're going to make recommendations. And some of those recommendations are just simple, bring cookies to the yard. Some of those are, okay, I recommend this product, but we keep our rates reasonable. Everything comes with one-on-one support, and I do have references available if anybody wants, feels like they need that. But we're not a pressure sales. We really are not. I've been there. I've been a mom. I'm a mom, and I know. So I'm there to help.
That's exactly what we say. I always tell people, we aren't pressuring you or pushing you for an answer right now, but I will be tenacious in following up to get an answer eventually. Like, I eventually will need a yes or no, but I'm not going to push you for a decision right this second. So yes, I think it's the same with you. You're not going to be a high pressure salesperson, but
I'm not a high pressure. I look at it this way, Michelle. I had some amazing mentors and teachers all the way back to when I was a special ed major to today. And I feel like I need to pay it forward and share that with other families. That's why I created Peace of Mind. That's why I do what I do, is because I feel like I really need to mentor and honor those that helped me. So how you can find us, we're on the web. It's very simple, ourlittlepeaceofmind.com. Our phone number, 713-485-6827. I will tell you that's not a textable number, but you can call. If we don't answer, it's because we're with somebody or we're outside of business hours. But, call anytime. We will get back to you within 24 hours. You can email us at info@ourlittlepeaceofmind. If you go onto the website, there's a box, it pops up. You can send us a message right there. So, and we do consultations in the Houston area one-on-one, or we can do them through Zoom. We can come to you.
Perfect. I was going to ask you that. Now, one question that I saw come through the chat box is, if somebody has a report or something about their child and they put it in the binder, how long should they keep different kinds of reports and documents and things like that?
My word of thumb is, especially with transitioning from school to school, keep a couple years, from back, because if you change school districts, you want to be able to refer back, especially when they're changing campuses. You want to keep those last couple of ARDs handy. Medical information, one of the things we offer is current and past doctors. So as doctors change, like my son has had a couple of different epilepsy specialists, especially when he transitioned from 18, becoming an adult. We keep the first one, we keep the current in one section, and then the last relevant doctor we keep at the back. I'm going to answer a question because I just saw it in the chat. Once they're out of school, how often should I update? Russell's binder, medical binder, is a work in progress. I'm constantly filling out tracking logs. I'm constantly changing, in our binder, the first thing you're going to see is a appointment calendar. Right on the front page, it's got the full year calendar, and it's got a place for you to make doctor's appointments. So I'm constantly putting more information in. With Russell, once it's about a year out out, because that's really what Medicaid and the waiver programs and SSI, they're always looking a year back. After about a year, I just scan it in and put it on a jump drive. You don't have to keep the paper copy, but any test results that relate to a current diagnosis, I like to keep in the binder. So when he has his EEG, or if he has an MRI or something, I like to keep those in the binder because they're still relevant. So I hope that answers your question. As
think
far
it
as the
does.
guidebooks,
Yeah.
it was just as new transitions happen.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to keep the current things in the binder. And then if there's maybe an issue that they had in the past that was in the binder, you just, as you said, scan that, keep it, but not necessarily in a paper form in that binder. It's not as, and then if you need to refer back to that, you certainly can.
Mhm.
I love that.
People coming in are always going to ask, well, when was he diagnosed with epilepsy? Well, that was 12 years ago.
Mhm.
So I have bits and pieces of relevant information readily accessible. Russell has about 3 medical binders. We have our current medical binder that we use on a daily basis, and then we have kind of archived.
Hmm.
So I have them on paper, and I also have them on scan. I actually ran into this problem when a neurologist changed and they left. They couldn't find, it was all in the same hospital system, but she could not find the first EEG
Oh,
and
no.
MRIs. They couldn't find it in the charts because it had been so long. And I had to go pull it from my paperwork and scan it and upload it to her.
Do you have digital formats or data input instead of a paper binder?
It's in the works. We're working on building an app. There are so many security issues with creating a digital app that we're not comfortable going that route right now until all the bugs get worked out. Just because safety of information is kind of our key thing. So,
Well, and I could imagine if you have it on an app, unless you have settings in the app to where you can share it with people. But even if somebody shared it with me, I wouldn't want that app and all of that information out there. But then how are you going to log onto my phone if you don't know my password? And then where is my phone? And then yeah, I could see how having it
so
readily accessible on paper it would
yeah,
be.
we have forms that you would fill out for us that are digital, and then they come to us in a secure manner. And then once we've processed your binder and we've done any edits you want, that is wiped. We wipe that from the system. We don't want that. We do use Jot form to help us process some of the information, but we have the Jot form that's HIPAA secure. So our Jot form is HIPAA compliant, and it's that medical grade form. So.
Wonderful. Well, let me talk a little bit more about Consolidated Planning Group. And this is the perfect time because we're winding down. So if you have any further questions for Christy, get those into the chat box as I wrap up my last few slides, and then we'll go back to Christy when I'm finished. Okay, so we do these webinars several times a week, and I hope that you've been able to see some of them in the past. If not, welcome. We hope you've enjoyed the information that we've shared today. These are some of the other topics that we often cover in our webinars and with our clients, that special needs care plan, future care cost estimates, the waiver programs, and how to get on those long interest lists. Understanding the differences and knowing when and how to apply for SSI versus SSDI, Medicaid versus Medicare, and how that all works. ABLE accounts, which is one place where you can save up money for your child without affecting their other benefits. How to leave money to your children in a way that their beneficiary designations will not cause them to lose benefits. Another place that you can keep money for them would be in a special needs trust. That could be in a first party or a third party, which, are different things and have different rules. We have residential living community panel webinars and different programs that are available. We have webinars that we host for all of those. Webinars that we host with attorneys to talk about guardianship and alternatives to guardianship, and other post-high school education and vocational options that are available for your children. When you receive these slides later on today, this is a great upcoming webinars link. You just click here and it'll take you straight to our website events tab, where it has a list of all of our upcoming webinars. This is our team. There's Allison and Jeff, husband and wife. There's my glamour shot and my bearded husband, Andy. So it's 2 husband and wife pairs. And then we have a fantastic support staff who will be reaching out to you. So please look at those friendly smiles and don't hang up on those ladies when they call you. If you don't want us to call, an easy way to solve that issue is to go ahead and schedule your free consultation before we have a chance to call you. You can use the QR code there. It takes you straight to our calendar and you can just pick a day and time that works for you. These are over Zoom. They take about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how many questions you have. The goal of these free consultations is to answer your questions, help you understand, what it is that you've been thinking about. We want to learn a little bit about you and your family and what you're going through. And then we walk you through our planning options and pricing and how we work. Again, just like Christy was saying, very low key. We are not pushers. We're not, we're not like that. We're not salesy. We're really here to help. It's in our hearts to help. Allison and Jeff, as I mentioned, they have special needs kiddos. Andy and I have 2 boys. They're 22 and 19, and they make us crazy, even though they are undiagnosed with anything. But I also come from an education background. I was a teacher, an English teacher, and did substitute teaching just like Christy. And, when you're a substitute teacher, you go to any classroom that they put you in. So I often was in classrooms with children who needed a lot of care in those special ed classrooms or in inclusive, that's what it was, in those classrooms. But anyway, our links are down at the bottom there as well. Here's our YouTube channel where all of our webinars go. They all live there after we host them. We put them on our YouTube channel, our Instagram page, our podcast, and our Facebook page. They're all down there. So reach out to us with any questions. And I see we do have a couple more questions for Christy. So if you would like to take back over and go through those last few things for us.
Absolutely. So, Marie, I'm going to address your questions. A lot of our systems are for the day-to-day caregiving. They're for the day-to-day interactions. I know it's stressful coordinating between different states, but a lot of the systems we've built are for immediate care. We're working on, like I said, the app and everything, and that's kind of in the progress, in the down the pipeline, that we want to care. I know how difficult it is. My grandmother had Alzheimer's, and when she was diagnosed, It was a lot of different caregivers, several different states, but our systems are really in place for the day-to-day actions and interactions that happen with our loved ones. Now, as far as the independent living, I can kind of tell you, with my grandmother, when she was placed in an assisted living, we did have a binder there. We had communication logs whenever somebody came to visit. Everybody signed in. Everybody, let everybody know, hey, I took Granny here. I bought her this. This is where this came from. And the nurses were really good, and the support staff at the assisted living were really good about, updating her binder and letting us know what was going on as well. I hope that answers your question. But feel free to call me at any time. Michelle, if it's okay, I'm gonna drop my number and info in the
Absolutely,
chat.
yes.
Um,
And also, when we send out the email later on today, it will have Christy's contact info. I see a question, when are we going to do a webinar about ABLE accounts? Tara, first of all, you can check our YouTube channel for previous webinar. I'm looking at my calendar while Christy's talking to try and find the date for the next one, but there's also that link on our website for upcoming webinars, so you can check there as well.
I did drop my phone, the office number in the chat. I also dropped my email that comes straight to me in the chat. Feel free to message, call, let me know. I'm really here to help make everybody's life a little easier, is why I do it.
That's fantastic. All right. I don't see any more questions. So really, thank you everybody for being here today. If you have questions for Christy, feel free to reach out to her. She has shared her email and her number, but again, there was a slide that had that information at the beginning, so you'll have that in your email later today. You can reach out to me or Consolidated Planning Group if you have other questions about other special needs planning topics or about our firm and how we work. And again, follow our YouTube channel if you have questions. There are over 200 different webinars there that we've already done. Check us out on Facebook. We are here for you. We're here to help. So always feel free to reach out. All right. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. At least here in Houston, it looks like it's sunny and hot and gorgeous out there. So enjoy it, but don't melt. We'll
Stay
talk to
safe.
you soon. Yes, stay safe, and no doggies or kids in cars left alone.
Absolutely.
Have
Thank
a
you,
great
Michelle.
afternoon, everybody. Bye-bye.